Alright, to start off, you're going to want to be using, at least for my lug nuts, they're 3/4 of an inch. And I have a little locking lug nut. It's got a little special tool that you got to use, so they don't steal your rims. But first you're going to want to loosen up the lug nuts. You just want to loosen them. You don't want to take them off. Loosen them while they're on the ground, just like that. And repeat the steps, same process. Also, before you lift your vehicle, for those of you that don't know, you have to put little chucks, just little pieces of wood, I guess, you could use on either side of the wheel, on the opposite side of the car, on the front. I have a little piece up here on the front end, and same here. A little piece right here, so the car doesn't move when I'm lifting it up. Now, to lift it up, you are going to want to find a good lifting point. We're still at the rear, the passenger rear. Gonna want to find a good spot to where to put the jack. So supposedly you're supposed to put it right here, which to me it doesn't seem like a bad spot. This is just the body that's resting up right here. It's not too bad, but I'm not gonna be lifting it up right there. I'm gonna put the jack right here. Some other points that you could use if that's rotted away is this right here. To be honest with you, I don't know what it's called, but I know it goes right to the subframe. Alright, let's see if I can give you a better light. Here we go. So we're right under the wheel well, right here. You see that big pin right under that? You could use that as a lifting point. It works perfectly fine as well. I'm just going to be using this spot right here because I guess it's factory recommended. Okay, now that we got the car lifted up, I'd say about a foot or foot and a half from its original height would be a good working space for you to get around. Now all we got to do next is take the wheel off. Okay, now that we've taken the wheel out, put the lug nuts in a safe place right there. They won't get lost. And for safety purposes, I'd just like to make sure that I'm safer under the car, that the jack doesn't lose oil or pressure and just falls down on me. I just like to make sure that the wheel, I just slide it under the car, and if the car falls, it'll still give me about a foot to get out and get safe. So I'll show you what to do next. Now the reason that I recommend lifting up the car from that factory recommended spot is because here, we're still under the rear, where I mentioned earlier that you can lift the car up, you can place the jack stand. So as you can tell, it's not enough. So we're gonna have to lift it up about 3 or 4 inches more. I just keep it at standard height. Alright, slowly lower the car down. Let's see here. Now, just that the car sat on the jack and everything's fine doesn't mean everything is okay for you to go under the car. I made a mistake here. I didn't place it directly in the middle of the jack stand here. So, if you look at it here, it's literally sitting on only about little tip of the jack stand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift it up again, reposition the jack, push it a little bit inwards, and we should be good to go. Car is off the jack and on the jack stand. I pushed it inwards and now we are good to go. Okay, to take out the strut, all you're going to need is a 3/4 of an inch wrench and 3/4 of an inch deep socket and any ratchet that works just fine. Now we are under the car. I'm going to start off by taking the bottom end of the strut. This is the strut right here. This is the CV axle. Here we got the caliper, the brakes over here. The top end, I just rather stop at the bottom just because it's a lot easier for me. And the bolt is right there. That's a 3/4, and the nut for the top end is actually on the wheel well side, if you can see right there. It's 3/4 too. Same right here. Bolt, nut, both at 3/4. Also, one thing you can do just to make your life a lot easier in taking the nuts and bolts out to remove the strut, of course, is to put the jack under the wheel hub. Just lift it up and put the jack under the A-arm, so the axle, instead of resting in its normal position, well, not normal position, but resting all the way down, and putting pressure on the nut that's going through the strut. And the A-arm, if you pick it up, the strut is already bad. It's not going to compress back, so that won't be a problem with it shooting back at you or anything. But if you leave it there or just lift it up a bit, you can take the nut out and the bolt out a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is just put a jack under here, right under the A-arm, and just rest the axle on here. Okay, I've rested the A-arm on that axle, and I made sure that the pinch weld right there is sitting directly in the middle of the jack stand, so it evens out the weight. It distributes it throughout the jack stand pretty evenly. The bolt was kind of rusted in there, so I just grabbed, I couldn't really pull it out or anything, so I used my screwdriver and I just started prying at it. And it fortunately it did come out. You know, it didn't break, like, it didn't dent any of the it didn't dent any of the threads on the bolt, so it's still in good shape. Now, as you can tell, she's moving, and all we gotta do now is remove the top. So just put your 3/4 wrench here, or if you want to do the opposite side, what I'm gonna do is, because I have more space here to loosen the nut, I'm just gonna put my 3/4 deep socket in there. It's kind of rusted, so I'm just wiggling it in there. Tap a few times, make sure it's in there. And here now, what we can do, here's, see if I can get you some light. We're gonna put the wrench on that bolt up there, and we're just gonna hold on both ends and loosen up the nut. Look what I found here. It's winter time, so there aren't any. Hope there aren't. Anyways, I just got the nut loosened. It came with just a locking washer and a nut. There's no washer to it behind the locking washer, so what we're gonna do now is just get the rubber mallet and pound on it. That was quite easy. It already came out this side, so I'm pretty sure now I can just grab on this end. See, there it is, right there. Let's see. There we go. See, this one is fairly easy. Just pull it out, and the strut almost fell on my hand, but that's one way to take out a strut, and there we have it. It's out. Side note, the $1,000,000 question. How do you know if you have bad struts and you need to replace them? Normally on the road, if you feel it's really bumpy, like it's not as smooth as it used to be, you need to replace them. Now, once you have them out, let's say you're just replacing them, how do you know if they're really bad? I'm compressing it, and see, it's supposed to slowly come back up, but it doesn't. But here's the KYB gas adjust one, shock absorber. I'm gonna compress it, and it's a lot harder to. And here it is side by side. It's slow, it's expanding. This one still hasn't even moved yet. So that's basically how you know when you need to replace them. Okay, we're under the car. I got the new strut. They do come with like a little pallet strap. The wraps are on the top to bottom, and they come compressed. And I just cut it because I thought I had to do it that way. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it did work this way. So if you want to cut it and follow my steps, go ahead. Basically, you're gonna put it in this hole. I just put it in here slanted and dropped it down in here. And here, try to fit it in the bracket. Let's see if you guys can see that. All right. And it will go like that. It doesn't go like that or twist or anything. It's got to go flat. It's got to go even in there, and it will just hold itself in there like that. See, my hands are not even holding it. So, just gonna hold it like that, and you're gonna grab your long bolt again and just fit it in there. Okay, I got the bolt in, and I got the nut tight, and I'm just gonna tighten it to 65 foot-pounds. That's what they've been saying around the forums. Sounds about right, 65 foot-pounds. If not, I'm gonna go double check. I'll let you guys know towards the end of the video what it really is. But for now, I'm just gonna tighten it to 65 foot-pounds. And for the bottom end, it is kind of hard because this you can still move it and you can twist it. to install the lower nut, what I'm going to do is, so I need to lift up the axle, and I'll explain to you why in just a second. I put the jack again on the wheel hub. Just going to lift it up about 3 or 4 pumps, or about, I'd say 5-6 inches. It's good enough. And just let it rest there. And see now, the strut is popping out from the bottom. Now, why did I do that? Because I had to put it in sideways so it fits in here. So what I'm gonna do now is twist it like so, so you can see, you know, the bolts, they kind of line up. I mean, sorry, the bolts, the holes, they line up. And it doesn't matter that this one's farther, because when it drops down, it'll go backwards. So what I'm gonna do is I can just hold it there, or I can just drop it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly let it drop, and it should just fit into place. So let's see how this goes. Don't matter if you hear that. I need to adjust it just a bit more. Okay, I got the bolt in. All I did was put the jack up again on the wheel hub and pick it up, and, you know, as I said, fix the strut, put it straight, lower it down again, and it sat in there perfectly. You might have to do some adjustment with a little rubber mallet. You just bang it in back or forth, you know. Just put the bolt in. Now I'm gonna get my washer and the nut, and I'm gonna torque this to 65 foot-pounds as well. Okay, so I didn't really find a specific specific torque spec, because, you know, lots of people around say 65, 70, 75. So I just did a 70 for both, and it seems to work out pretty fine. You know, I don't really know that, but I know that I'm pretty sure nobody has ever changed the struts, because they're still OEM. So that means the nuts have actually held on pretty good. So all we have to do next is put the wheel on. Or, excuse me, pick up the wheel hub, take that A-arm jack stand off, put the wheel on, put the jack over there, pick it up, take that jack stand out, and lower it, and we're done. Okay, and just to clarify, I already picked up the wheel hub, took the jack stand out, and I'm about to put the wheel on. In the air, I torque them to about 50 foot-pounds, just so, you know, the rim isn't moving while it's on the ground, and it bends the rim, or it snaps off one of the one of the bolts on the wheel hub. So 50 foot-pounds is what I think is a good. It's a good torque to put on when in the air. Once I torque all 5 to 50 foot-pounds, I'm gonna lower it. But I wanted to explain to you guys, for those of you that don't know, for example, in a 5-lug, you're gonna wanna, well, this goes to all wheels on cars. You're gonna wanna torque in a star pattern, so from here to here to here to here to here. And why is that? Because you're gonna want the rim to sit evenly on the wheel hub. So, for example, if you go in a circle, this end will tend to be more tighter, or like probably closer to the wheel hub than this side, just because you're tightening on one end, and then the wheel is going to be like that, and then go inwards. So it's best just to do it in a star pattern, like from top, bottom right, top left, you know, like that, just in a star. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more, like this video, and comment any questions or any concerns you guys have, or, you know, just anything in general. Thank you very much.